We live? Well, good morning, everybody. Listen, we are going to have, we're starting early. We're going to start early on Wednesdays and on Sunday to allow you to enjoy some music. We're warming up. It is 10 minutes to the hour, and so we'll be back in 10 minutes to share with you our Sunday school lesson for the morning. God bless you. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is time for our Sunday school lesson this morning. We are excited about today's lesson as we will visit the book of Esther on today. We have a very good lesson. Esther chapter 7 is where our lesson is found, verses 1 through 10. The subject for today is an executed scoundrel. An executed scoundrel. And the lesson, those of you on your phone, if you would mute for us, please, we appreciate it. Thank you. We want to say good morning to those who are on the phone. Thank you for the conference call. Good morning to those of you who are with us live on Facebook. And good morning to those who will be viewing us afterwards on YouTube. So, hello to everybody. Okay. This lesson this morning deals with an interesting story. The narrative of the lesson that precedes the actual printed text is a very interesting one. So, if I could take the time before we get to chapter 7 and lay out what's actually going on here in the text before we see the execution of Mr. Haman, who unfortunately was plotting against the people of God. And anytime you plot against the people of God, you can expect for God to have his way with you. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. And so he's going to get his. He does not appreciate and sit idly by and allow people to just take advantage of his children without any repercussions at all or any consequences associated with that conduct. So this is how the story begins. It's a very interesting one. You have a fellow, Xerxes, who is the king. He's identified in our lesson, and he has an issue, okay? He's hot-tempered, for one. I'm going to start off with that. He's very dictatorial, very, very dictatorial. He doesn't like to be displeased in any way. He has a lot of power in Persia. The Persians are rich. It's about, where he is about 50 million people there. And he is greedy. He wants to be in complete control of the whole known world at the time. He has an issue with Greece. And because he has an issue with Greece in that he has not conquered them, he thrives on his army being the best, and he wants to be superior to everybody in the land. And so Greece is his nemesis. Greece is his thorn in the side. Greece is the one country that's stopping him from being the king, the ruler over everything, over everybody. He's not content with just running Persia. He wants the whole kit and caboodle. So the book of Esther begins in chapter 1 with King Xerxes actually doing a planning meeting. This planning meeting, according to verse 3, went on for 6 months, 180 days. So you've got these guys that have come in and have strategized how are we going to get rid of Greece. And so they've planned, they've navigated. He's got all of his top people in line. And they feel that the way they have plotted and planned and strategized, that they are so ready to just go in here and just trample over Greece. They are going to knock Greece out. So they've been sitting there, they've been planning for 6 months. Man, they can't wait. They are so confident in their strategizing that Xerxes, after the 6-month period, said, man, we need to party. We need to celebrate. We're going to have a pre-celebration. We're going to kick it in advance because we already know. Dude, this is set for us. This is like going in and taking candy from a baby. This is going to be so easy. We're going to go in here and annihilate these people in Greece, and they're going to be ours. They're going to be our subjects, and we're going to get their spoils. Okay, so that's the whole concept. So they have this party beginning in chapter 1 of Esther. They have this party. They are drinking. They are partying. The king says, hey, whatever these men want, give them all the women they want. They can have whatever kind of orgy they want to have. It's all kind of illicit stuff going on. There's all kind of promiscuousness going on. Lasciviousness is going on. And they are drinking. They are partying. You can't tell them nothing. This goes on for 7 straight days. They have the king's wine. They're drinking out of golden goblets. So they've got these golden mugs that they are just knocking it out. They're having a good time. You couldn't ask to be in a better place if you were worldly than at the king's palace during these 7 days. They partied hard. At the end of the 7th day, the king decides, go get Vashti. Vashti is the king's wife. Now, the king's wife, while he's entertaining the men, the king's wife has been entertaining the women who are of the court, and she's been occupying them. So, at the end of the 7 days, the king says, go get my wife, tell her to put on her royal garments, and I want her to come in here and parade in front of all of these men. I want them to see how fine my wife is, and I also want them to see how well I take care of her with these garments that she's going to put on. So the wife gets this request from the king. She decides, nah, you ain't going to just expose me like that. I'm not going for it. So she makes a decision not to show up at the king's banquet, and she wasn't going to allow them to exploit her and just look at her because the king said so. So of course, I've already told you that the king has a major issue with this attitude thing. He'll go from 0 to 100 in no time flat. So his wife tells him no. What is the king to do? Everybody knows he done asked for the wife to come. Everybody knows the wife done told him no. So, king says, oh, tell you what, she done messed up. And she done messed up so bad that other women, according to verse, I think it's 16 or 17 of chapter 1, he says, other women are going to mess around and think that they can do their husbands like she doing me. I ain't having that. So to keep any woman from thinking that they could tell their husband no, he said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm firing her right away. Get her out of here. So Vashti is no longer allowed to even see the king, which was really an easy punishment because by law, he could have actually killed her. But he chose not to. He says, get her away. He divorces her. She's gone. So while she's gone, I told you they're going to strategize about this war. So they go to war. And, let me give you this little piece right here. Before they go to war, there's a small piece of a body of water that they're going to cross over to get over into Greece. Okay, so he have his engineers and architects and all of them people to design this little bridge that they can build that's going to allow them to have access into Greece like in a secret way. They can get in through the back door. So his architects and engineers and stuff go to building. They build this bridge, which is going to be a great way for them to get in. Well, 1 year after the bridge is built, a tremendous storm comes. The storm comes and tears up the bridge. What in the world did that storm come for? So the king gets word that the bridge has been torn up. Now they don't have access to sneak through the back door of Greece. You know what he does? He calls in all the engineers who are responsible for the building of the bridge, and he cut their heads off. He cut all their heads off. You know why? Because he felt that there was a defect in their building, that they miscalculated. He did not give any credit to the storm at all. He was mad because the people who designed the bridge apparently didn't do it strong enough to handle the storm. Not only does he cut off the engineers' heads, but to show you how crazy he is angry with the waters that the bridge was built over. So he has 300 of his soldiers to go into the water with whips, a regular whip, and they whip the water, 300 lashes, as if he's spanking the water, as if the water has been bad and he's chastising the water. Crazy. In addition to that, they throw in the water some shackles. And the intent in his mind is, we're going to shackle this water since the water did not comply with us and wasn't friendly to us. So now he's taking his anger out on water. Crazy dude. Anyway, back to the story. So they just says it's 2 years now has passed. The bridge is gone. They can't go that way. 2 years are in. His wife is gone. And he goes and tries to defeat Greece. He tries. He takes 250,000 men with him. And he's got 300 ships. And they sail and they're trying to defeat Greece. And Greece is tearing them up. Greece is wearing them out. Every attempt they make over the next 2 years is a flop. Until, of course, Alexander the Great comes in and completely wipes out and annihilates Persia altogether. But back to the text. So he's been having all of these unsuccessful battles in an attempt to conquer Greece. All right, he comes back home. He's frustrated. Then we pick up in chapter 2. 4 years have passed now from chapter 1, chapter 2. He says, look, King, you've been trying to beat Greece. They don't wallop us. We can't win that. So how about if we go back to getting you a queen? You remember that? You remember you lost your queen? You don't have a queen? That might help you. He said, yeah, that's cool. Let's do that. So he throws, in this population of 50 million people, he throws a party. And, he throws a pageant, a beauty pageant. And so he says to everybody that's in the providences, he says, I want you to find me the finest virgins in the land. The finest. So it was. They gathered the finest virgins in the land. They narrowed it down to 400 of them. And so it is their responsibility, the virgins are, to learn all of the acts of the queen, how to conduct yourself in public and what your manners are and how to be proper, how to curtsy, what to say, what not to say, all of the etiquette stuff that you're supposed to know as queen. So these 400 women are taken to what they would, for lack of a better word, a school. And they are in this school for a whole year. So they're in the school, they're learning how to be the queen, because after this year, they're going to have to be presented to the king so that he can make a decision as to who's going to be his wife. So in this school that they're in, they learn about the oils. They're bathed so that their skin is going to be the smoothest and the softest. They know the fragrance, the fragrances that the king prefers. So they're doing all of the oil. They know everything that he wants. So they learn all of this stuff, and one by one, they get to go out and spend time with the king. Well, they start this at the beginning of the year. By the time Esther, it's her turn to come see the king, it's the 10th month. So he done seen a whole bunch of women by the time Esther has gotten here. He lays his eyes on Miss Fine, and Miss Esther blows his mind. He don't want to see nobody else. He's done. He's like, oh man, look, Esther, you the one. You the queen. I don't know how fine Esther was, but she must have been super duper, because you had 400 of the finest virgins that he had to choose from. Esther comes in, knocks them all out. How is that possible? It's because of the providence of God. God is the one who allows us to be attracted to each other. So God placed in King Xerxes enough attraction, physical, in Esther, so that when he saw her, he was like, we need not look for another. You are the woman. So anyway, he marries Esther. Esther is a Jew. Esther is a part of Persia. She and her uncle were the ones who did not return. King Cyrus had allowed some of the Jews to go back to Jerusalem and to rebuild the wall. Well, her and her uncle were not those who went back. They were not part of that remnant. They stayed in Persia. So Xerxes marries Esther, and he loves Esther. He's fond of her. Mordecai, who is Esther's uncle, now has access to the king's palace. This is his niece. And so he gets to kind of roam around a little bit as a result of his niece being the queen. So while he's roaming around, he overhears two of the guards conspiring how they're going to kill the king. So what does Mordecai do? Mordecai goes and let the king know, hey, you got some people in your camp who are disloyal. You got some folk who want to kill you. And as it turns out, they validate the story. They get rid of the two guys that were supposed to be plotting to kill the king. And they write down in the logbook what Mordecai had done. Now, the logbook, for those of you who were in the military, you know that when you have to stand watch and stand duty, you're required to report every hour on the hour. That's our case. In some watches, you report more often than that or less than that. But we have to report every hour on the hour. All is well, coast is clear, no drama, whatever it is, however you have to report it. And not only do you call on your radio to let everybody know that all is well, that the watchman went over the night, there's no drama going on. Not only do you call in and say it, but you also write it down in the book. So whoever relieves you on the next shift, the next duty, can look at the book and see the activities that took place while you were on duty. So they log in what had happened in terms of Mordecai. He told about these two guys. The two guys were eliminated. They put this in the book. Persians were notorious for writing down everything. Great historians. They wrote everything down. If you sneeze backwards, it's going to be in the book. So one day, they wrote this in the book. So one day, the king is sleeping. He's trying to sleep. He can't sleep. Got insomnia. He's up, woke, can't think. Something's wrong. King says, man, I need you to go and get that book where they have all of those records. I can't sleep. I'm just going to read through the book. So he's reading through the book. He comes across Mordecai. He looks at the fact that Mordecai was instrumental in saving the king's life. And he asked, hey, was anything done for Mordecai? Y'all know the guy who saved the king's life? I read in the book that they got rid of the guys who was plotting to kill the king, but I didn't see anything where we had compensated or showed an appreciation for Mordecai. Now granted, this happened a few years ago. So you've had all kinds of long entries into this book. How is it that Xerxes is reading the book from years back in terms of the log? He's not reading his own stuff. He's reading stuff from years back and comes across Mordecai and has an interest in that. Again, God's providence. Now, let me tell you something about Mr. Mordecai. Mr. Mordecai, I told you, was loafing around in the palace. Well, when you get to chapter 3, we're introduced to Haman. Haman has been promoted in the king's palace. Okay? So he is such a high-ranking guy in the palace that the Bible says in chapter 3, everybody who came in the palace had to bow before Haman. So they come in bowing. You come in, bow. You come in, you bow. Everybody, you bow, 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 bow. When Mordecai comes through, Mordecai don't bow. Mordecai can care less about bowing. He doesn't like Haman. Why? Because Mordecai is a Benjamite. And you'll see in the scriptures in chapter 3 that Haman, however, is from the tribe that God told Saul to destroy utterly. I think it was the Amalekites or Amorites, I can't remember. But he tells Saul, I want you to go in there and I want you to kill everybody, kill all of them. Saul disobeys God. That's in Samuel chapter 15. Saul disobeys God, and as a result of him not killing everybody, the Bible says God fires Saul. Saul, of course, had captured the king, but he didn't kill the king. So I think the king is Agag. So as a result of it, the Bible says that Samuel, the prophet, is not responsible for carrying out what God told Saul to do. So Samuel don't just kill the king, he cuts him up in pieces, the Bible says. Now, almost 1,000 years later is when Haman comes on the scene. But Haman is a descendant of Agag. So he wants to get revenge on the Israelites because it was an Israelite, being Samuel, a Hebrew, who killed his royalty. So he's got this bitterness. He's got this Hatfield and McCoy feud in his heart. He can't stand Mordecai because Mordecai is a Jew. Mordecai has no respect for Haman. And he walk on by, look, man, everybody else can bow. I'm not bowing. So Haman is furious. He says, you know what? I'm going to get rid of these Jews. That's what I'm going to do. He goes to the king. He says, hey, Mr. King, I tell you what, man, look, I've been observing all of these Jews, and I think we need to get rid of them because they, in fact, can come together and try to take over. We see that they have a lot of influence. We can eliminate all of it, not just one or two. We need to kill them all the way back to Israel. Kill all of them. Kill every one. And we can set the decree up to get rid of all of them. And as a result of that, here's the catch, Mr. King. You get to have all of their spoils. You get to keep all of their stuff. Y'all have to bear with me today because I'm sure we're going to go past 9:30 on Sunday school. All right, so he said, you get to keep all of the stuff. He said, man, kill the Jews? Okay, well, all right. Keep them from coming and conquering us. You know how I feel about power anyway. And so he says, well, when you talking about doing it? So Haman consults with the soothsayers and the astrologers and say, hey, y'all do what you do. Get in your crystal ball and get your tea leaves out or go call Miss Cleo. Whatever you do, I need a date. Look at the sun and the moon and the stars and tell me when is the best time that all of these stuff is going to come together in the solar system so that we can set the best date to destroy all of the Jews. So they came up with a date. The word gets out throughout the whole province, everywhere. Everybody know. On this date right here, we're going to kill all the Jews. Get the king to decree it. King gives Haman his ring. Haman seals the deal. So there's a decree. The decree goes out with the king's word. And once a decree is made, it cannot be unmade. When the king said, y'all get to kill the Jews, once that goes out, boom, it's a wrap. You get the signature from the king on that particular day, all of the Jews are supposed to be killed. All of them. The word is out all over the place. Hey, y'all, we get ready to die. All the Jews know. They know they're in turmoil. So Mordecai hears about this. When he gets the word, the Bible says he rips his clothes. He gets in sackcloth. He puts the ashes on his face. He mourns. What are we going to do? They're going to kill us. All of us are going to be gone. He says, I have to go to my cousin. I have to go. He goes to Esther. He goes to little Esther. He said, baby, look, let me tell you something. I'm going to need you to go in and talk to the king on our behalf. Because if you don't, Haman is going to kill all of us. Esther said, look, I know I'm the king's wife, but it's not that easy. I just can't waltz up in there and talk to the king. Nobody can see the king without an appointment. She says, and I haven't seen the king in 30 days. So I don't know what you want me to do, but I don't have an appointment to see him. And so Mordecai says, well, listen, baby, look, if you don't go, I'm telling you, not only is he going to kill us, he's going to kill you too. So your life is at stake either way. Either you die this way or you die that way. At least you can go out saying you tried to help somebody. She says, okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go talk to the king. I know, she said, look, I'm just going to tell you like this. If I perish, I perish. But I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to go talk to the king. I hope he doesn't kill me by me coming up in there without an appointment, but I'm going to do it. I understand how critical this is. So she goes, and she talks to the king. King like, hey, what's up, baby? What you want? I don't care what you want. Whatever you want. I'll give you half of this kingdom. Say the word. Bible says she has a banquet. She says, I want to eat me, you, and Haman. Me, you, and Haman? Yeah, that's all I want right now. I said, okay. He throws a little banquet party. Me, you, and Haman. Haman believes, hey, you can't beat this. Look, I have a personal invitation. Me and the king and the queen gonna hang out and have dinner and have a ball. Yes, this is great. I'm the man. I am so the man. So they had this little party. King said, okay, baby, we having the party. What do you want? She said, what I want, king, if you're going to give me whatever I want, I know you asked me that you give me half the land. All I want you to do is throw another party for me on tomorrow with the same guest. Another party? We don't have one party tonight. You don't have another party tomorrow. That's what you want? That's what I want, baby. Okay, so he has party 2. This is where chapter 7 comes in. This is party number 2. This is the second night. They've already partied night 1. So here's what happens. Haman is leaving the party from the night before, the first night's party. On his way out the courts, guess who he walked by? Oh, Mordecai. Mordecai hanging out at the gates. So Haman is so frustrated. He said, you know what? I'm going to put this to an end. I know I said I'm going to kill them Jews at a certain date, but Mordecai ain't going to make it to that date. We're going to kill him tomorrow. So now remember, the next day is when the next banquet is supposed to be. So Haman decides, look, I need y'all to build a gallows at my house. We're going to hang Mordecai on this gallows first thing tomorrow. Okay, they build the gallows. Haman comes back to the king's palace. He wants to tell the king, he wants to get permission from the king to kill Mordecai. That's where he's coming. Look, I'm ready. I got the gallows. I want to get rid of Mordecai. Knock him out first. Then we're going to get the rest of the Jews later. Before he can petition the king about Mordecai, the king says to him, hey, man, guess what? You ain't going to believe this. I was up the other night, and I was reading through the Chronicle book, and I looked at all the list of stuff. He said, tell me, what would you do for a man who saved your life? What would you do for a man who protected the king? What would you give a man who's in the king's corner? Haman is thinking that the king is talking about him. So Haman said, hey, man, if I was you, I'd give a man your robe. I would give him your horse. I would parade him through the streets. I would let everybody know this is the dude. When it comes to the king, this is the king's right-hand man right here. I would let everybody know. I would blow this dude up. Everybody would know who's got the real power. He said, that's what you do for him? He said, yes. He said, Haman, man, thank you so much for telling me that. Tell you what I need you to do. I need you to go get that horse that you was talking about, go get my robe, and go find Mordecai, and I want you to lead the parade for Mordecai. You got to be kidding me. Haman, you got to be kidding me. I can't stand Mordecai. You mean to tell me I done been duped and tricked into being a blessing to Mordecai? Listen, let me tell you something. Anytime you're doing right by God, God will cause your enemies to bless you. Amen. Woo! The very ones who dig the ditches, the very ones who try to trap you, the very ones who want to hang you on the gallows, the very ones who want to crucify you, God will see to it that he'll make your enemy become your footstool. And he prepares a table before you right in the presence of your enemy. There was nothing Haman could do but simply obey the king and parade Mordecai around. He don't even like Mordecai. Wanted to kill Mordecai. Build gallows for Mordecai. But God changed it. What a difference a day can make. Amen. Don't you care about what folk when they try to put you in a trap, when they try to destroy you, when they try to steal your joy? God is in charge. Amen. Put your faith, your hope, your trust in him and watch what God will do. So the Bible says, right now, we finally got to the Sunday school lesson. Right in chapter 7, here's the second banquet. And at this banquet, the Bible says, they're sitting there eating. The queen, Esther, is asked again by the king, what you want, baby? Okay, we're at banquet number 2. We've done this last night. What is it that you want? She says, verse 3 says, she answered and said, if I found favor in your sight, O king, if it please the king, let my life be given to me at my petition. Spare me. And also in verse 3 she says, I also pray that you spare my people. We're sold. My people are to be destroyed. They're to be slain. They'll be perished. But if I be sold for a bondwoman, a bondman or a bondwoman, I held my tongue so that the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. So she's saying, look, here we are. I want you to promise me you're going to spare my life before I even ask you what I want. She said, sure. She says, somebody is trying to kill me and my people. Oh, no. Verse 5, she said, who in the world? King said, who want to kill my baby? Who's trying to tell me who he is. And let me know who it is that's trying to kill my baby and her people. She said, it's Haman that's sitting right here. King gets her from the table. You can't, I told you he goes from 0 to 100, didn't I? He done walked away from the table. He's, oh no, I can't believe it's not Haman. He is hot. He is hot. Haman done plotted and planned to kill Esther and all the Jews. He is smoking hot. He leaves the table. When he leaves the table, Haman gets on his knees and start begging Esther. Please don't do this, please. Esther, please, whatever you do, please, I'm begging you. See, look, fix this. While he's on his knees, the king returns. Verse 7 says, the king arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath went to the palace garden. Haman stood up making requests for his life to Esther the queen. He's on his knees begging. The king returns out of the palace garden to the place where the banquet of the wines. Haman was fallen upon the bed whereupon Esther was. So now he's thinking that Haman is trying to assault his wife while he's there. He doesn't know that Haman is begging for his life. It looks to him like he done messed around and got too close to this man's wife. And he's like, what in the world are you doing all up on my woman like this? So let's do this. He says, okay. He says, and Harbino, one of the chamberlain, said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standing in the house of Haman. He said, oh, you got gallows already hanging up that Haman told you to build for Mordecai? Okay, tell you what we're going to do. Verse 10, so they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. And then, the Bible says, was the king's wrath pacified. He's good now, because he has taken justifiable revenge on the man who tried to wipe out the Jews and the queen. This is not some coincidence. It wasn't by happenstance that Esther happened to be beautiful. It wasn't by luck or chance that she just happened to be the one that he chose. This is all a part of God's divine plan. He needs Esther to save the Jews, because that's the lineage through which Jesus Christ is going to come. Thank you, Esther, for putting your life on the line. Thank you for taking the risk so that the real crooked enemy who thought he was getting away with stuff finally learned, you can run but you can't hide. The all-seeing eye of God will come and get those who do God's children wrong. I pray that this lesson has been a blessing to you on today. Woo! Give us 2-3 minutes. Sister Burch said give us 3 minutes. She has to reset the camera and get ready for morning worship. I'm going to leave the phone on so those who are on the conference call line can continue to listen in. I'm going to mute you, and then I'll bring you back on as soon as we get things set up again. All right. God bless you all. Thank you.